Hi, this is Ed Rising, and welcome back to Ed's Pop-O-Matic podcast, a pop culture podcast, a retro pop culture podcast, where everything beats anew if you keep it in your heart. And this is our Christmas show. And so today we have two very special guests, friends of ours for a number of years now. We have Fred Velez. Welcome, Fred. Nice to
Um,
see you.
Hi Ed, hi
Uh,
Dan. Merry.
and
Hey
we
there.
have Daniel Coston.
Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you guys.
So those of you who follow these podcasts should know Fred Velez fairly well as a guy that's very much the monkey man uh, around town. If you check on Facebook, he's got a bunch of Facebook groups, and on the monkeys, he's written his monkeys books, and he's all kinds of things like that, and just like one of the nicest guys I know. So um, he's here. I'm glad to have him with us. And Daniel Coston's another one of my favorite friends through the podcast world that I've met. Uh, he's a big time photographer down there in Charlotte, North Carolina, working all kinds of events. And what is it you're doing right now? You're going to be doing the Tosca Music Festival?
Yeah, so the Tosca Music Holiday Party. You were here for our Fab Fest last year. This is our holiday show, so unfortunately I can't be here as long as I would like, but I had to stop in. It's been too long since I saw you guys, and definitely we have a lot to discuss.
Well, that's really great. I'm glad you're here. So essentially, we're going to talk about our favorite Christmas music, and I'm going to get rolling. My favorite Christmas album is the Partridge Family Christmas Card, which was released in 1971. David Cassidy, tremendous vocals, as Fred's showing it off there. Thank you, Fred. And Shirley
No.
Jones has a few tracks on there too. But it's funny, even in my family, when I was a kid, I didn't have control of the music all the time. I was kind of pushing myself into doing it, but I would try to get my family to play the Partridge Family Christmas Card while we would be doing Christmas decorations around the house. And eventually we got them to play it. And now, all these years later, whenever my brother and I are decorating the Christmas tree, he says we got to have the Partridge Family Christmas Card album on and singing those songs, and so it's a great feeling for me to still have this music that's part of my life all these years. Um, Fred, are you a fan of that album?
I like the songs on the album. They do a very good job. I think it's one of the few Partridge Family albums, in my opinion. You might disagree, whatever. That Shirley Jones has more songs on it than on the other albums.
Right, right, right. They never really gave her much on the regular albums.
And the funny thing is,
Daniel, oh, I'm sorry.
well, the funny thing is, before the show was even on the air, Shirley Jones was like the biggest name on that show, and then David Cassidy took off. So there you go.
It's pretty amazing, and you talk about somebody that did it without an ego. Remember checking the ego at the door kind of a thing. She could have said, well, I'm the biggest star. I'll be the one that's being the singer. But no, she recognized what this was going to be. It was going to appeal to the teens and the young teens and or preteens, and David should be the star. And Daniel, do you have memories of the Christmas Card album?
That was a record that I would hear occasionally on the radio, but I didn't really have that record until many years later. I've definitely come back. I sort of came backwards into the Partridge Family through my love of the Monkees and a lot of other acts of the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of these are the same people that played on all the same records. These are all Wrecking Crew guys, guys that were, gigging around Los Angeles and California. And these are, I've really, through you guys and also just our mutual love of the 60s, I really kind of come back around. I was just listening to this record yesterday. So,
Well, that's one of the incredible things about their music in general is that, you have to appreciate the fact that there are all these Hal Blaine, um, um, uh, Joe Osborne is a great bass player. Larry Nectar played keyboards. Bob Melvin. All these tremendous musicians. They put the best out there, and they wrote an original for that album through Tony Romeo, who was the guy that wrote "I Think I Love You," which was their big hit. But
Mhm.
he wrote "My Christmas Card to You," which was their Christmas single, and unfortunately doesn't get covered very
Mhm.
much. I don't think there's been any, maybe like one cover has been out there of it, but it's a great song, and as far as I'm concerned, it's gonna always be David's, you
Mhm.
know. And I love it, and I think they did a really fun job with the record. Nice arrangements on there, and they have pretty much all the commercial Christmas songs on there. You know, Jingle Bells and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and the sleigh ride and all that. Shirley has a couple of singles as songs as Fred mentioned. They do a funeral dirge version of Frosty the Snowman, which is a bit of a laugh, you know. But I've always enjoyed that album very much. Daniel, is there a favorite Christmas album that you like?
When I was a kid, my parents had like the Firestone Christmas compilation. They had a few more of the compilations, so I didn't really dive into Christmas albums per se until I got Vince Guaraldi, Charlie Brown Christmas,
Hmm,
Bing Crosby Christmas,
right.
just classic. So it was little. It's funny. It's like to this day, I will hear different songs like, "Oh, that was on the Firestone compilation." It's like it just takes me right back to those songs that my parents played. We played at Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. Fred, what about yourself?
I had well, I liked all the classics like Holly Jolly Christmas, uh, Frosty the Snowman. I did my own Christmas album,
That's
Uh,
right. That's right. I forgot
so
about that.
yeah, my own Monkeys Christmas album. I beat the Monkeys Christmas album.
And
And
speaking
then
uh,
of the Monkeys put out a Christmas album not too many years ago,
mhm,
and it's called Christmas Party, and
right.
there's the CD right there from Fred, and
The CD version has the
he's
Target CD that has the two bonus cuts of
ah,
Ryuchu and Christmas is My Time of Year.
oh, that's great.
Hmm.
Yes. So the Rio Chio is from the original Monkeys TV series, the Christmas
Right,
episode,
right. And
and
they
it's a great song. Yeah.
put it out about a year later in vinyl. Here's the vinyl version,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
and
great.
it's very nice. And it came with a nice poster.
That's
Ah,
beautiful, man. That's
Mhm.
really beautiful. That's something
And
I
I
would
got
definitely put up at Christmas time or all year long. Who knows?
the rhino colored vinyl, which looks like this.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, this looks like a Pokeball.
Yeah.
Monkeys, I choose you.
Very cool.
And then a couple of years ago, Record Store Day put out Christmas Party Plus, uh, two singles with some extra songs, including the demo of Unwrap You at Christmas by Andy Partridge
Yeah.
and the television version of Ryuchiu and the 1976 mix of Christmas is My Time of Year.
Yeah.
And has a nice centerfold also.
It's
And
very
they're also in
nice.
colored vinyl. And I'll show you one. One is in green vinyl,
oh wow.
and the other one
It's in red
is
vinyl.
red vinyl
That
with Christmas colors.
is very nice. That is very, very nice put together.
Hmm.
Now let me ask you, let's talk about the album.
Yeah.
Now the album, from what I understand, was an offshoot of the Good Times album, which had come out the year before,
Right,
2016, 2017, or 18. The Christmas album came out. And what they
right.
essentially did is they had people that wrote songs on the Good Times album, like Andy Partridge, who was in what band? What was he in?
Andy Partridge, I think, was an XTC.
He was in
Mhm.
XTC. And then there was Adam Schlesinger,
He was in
who
Fountains of Wayne.
Fountains of Wayne, right?
Okay, so these guys, amongst other people, wrote some new Christmas songs for the Monkees, like "Unwrap You at Christmas" and "What Would Santa Do" and a few others. What do you make of the vocal approach on those records, or at least the effect of those songs?
Well, they were done pretty much the way the Monkees recorded back in the 60s, where they were like individual Monkees would go in the studio, like one Monkey would go in the studio and produce himself. Like Nesmith would produce his stuff, Davey would produce his stuff, Mickey, Peter, that way. And that's the way this one, even though it was one producer, they all record, Mickey, Mike, and Peter
Yeah.
record their things separately. They used archival tracks for Davey from Davey's Christmas album. In fact,
Yes, they did. Yeah, that was actually a very nice touch.
Yeah.
They did Mele Kaliki Waka, the Hawaiian Christmas song.
Maka. Yes.
I
Here's
can't
Dave-
even say it.
Yeah.
Daniel, if you can say it, all the props to you, man.
Here's Davey's Christmas
There
album.
it is.
Came out a
there it
couple of
is.
years ago.
Yeah.
You can still
Nice.
get the download for that. And it has, I think Mickey's on it and Coco, and also his daughter. Yeah, I think so. His daughter Annabelle does a duet with her father of
Yeah.
White Christmas. So that's very nice.
Should mention too that several of these tracks was produced by Chip Douglas,
Right.
who produced a lot of the Monkees, a lot of my favorite Monkees songs in '66, actually '67, '68.
Right. Chip Douglas produced, mixed, and arranged this album. So it's really nice. It was remastered by Andrew Mendelson. So and you can get the download for this. The CD I don't think is available anymore, neither is the vinyl version.
Yeah.
So if you got the vinyl and the CD, you did well. But you can
Cool.
still get the album online.
I
So,
like the album. I'm not as, to me, they're at the time, what, they're 70-something-year-old men, and they're recording these songs, and it's like, what's the first line in What Would Santa Do? Something about having a fight and getting socked in the mouth. That seemed to be a little bit juvenile for me, and I was like, it's a little cringeworthy, but for the most part, I think the album is pretty good, a lot of fun. I love the House of Broken Gingerbread.
yeah, that's a great song in that it's a very unusual Christmas song because it's not particularly a happy song.
No,
It's it's about a kid who's torn between his divorced parents of where's he gonna be for Christmas. He's gonna spend some time with one and then spend some time with the other. So it kind of reflects that feeling of uncertainty.
right, absolutely. And it also reflects in the Monkeys Christmas episode, which was also about a kid that was more or less orphaned at Christmas
Right.
that the Monkeys had to take care of while his mother or whatever.
It was his aunt.
But was going away on a trip, and the Monkeys had to babysit him during Christmas. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, then in the course of the episode, they taught him the real meaning of Christmas.
That's a nice episode, but it's also for all of us who are TV geeks or whatever. Butch Patrick of the Munsters plays the kid in the Monkeys Christmas episode, which you can probably find on MeTV or Catchy TV and a few other stations that are still running the Monkeys now and again. And I'm sure this next week or so they'll be playing various Christmas episodes of TV shows, and
Right.
you'll probably be able to find it.
Yeah. A point I want to put to regarding the Monkeys' Christmas party is that the song that Peter Tork sings, "Angels We Have Heard," is the
Wow.
very last piece of music that Peter Tork ever recorded.
Yeah.
And he recorded it months before the album was put together.
Did he play acoustic guitar on that, or I guess he sang?
Did, but it was two different recordings. He did an acoustic version, which showed up on another Christmas album, but he didn't sing on that version.
Okay.
But for this one, they used I think it was his banjo.
Yeah.
It was a banjo. They used his banjo backing, and he sang over that. But the thing was that he was still going through his cancer.
He was very sick, yeah.
Yeah, so they auto-tuned him, which is the only time Peter was ever auto-tuned, just to make him sound a little better, a little stronger. So that's the only time Peter Tork was ever auto-tuned.
Yeah.
And I cherish that song.
Yeah, it's a really
It was
pretty song.
Peter, because it was Peter's last gift to the fans.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, the Monkees have come up with a couple of good ones. I liked Christmas is My Kind of Year, which was their 1976 Christmas single, a little bit of a reunion show. And then Rio Chio from
Right.
the original Monkey series and Christmas episode. And when I saw Mickey this weekend, Mickey Dolenz, along with his sister and his band, played at Westbury Music Fair this weekend here in Long Island, New York, and they did perform Rio Chio, which was a
Right.
real treat.
Right. One more point I want to, before we get away from Monkey's Christmas Party, is that sadly this was the last Monkees album that had new recordings with Michael Nesmith and Peter Tork.
Yeah.
So that is officially the last Monkees album with the surviving Monkees and the archival Davy Jones tracks.
Right.
So to that point, that's an album that you got to cherish also.
True. But I would also imagine, I mean, there's always stuff in the archives. They found so much stuff between opening up all the Colgems, vaults, and whatever, that I wouldn't be surprised if they don't come up with something else down the road.
Right. Well,
Not necessarily, maybe not necessarily even, because Mickey could always put on a new vocal or something. There's his voice, God bless him, and his energy is still so very good. So.
Hey, look, the Beatles put out a single last year, and the Rolling Stones,
right.
the Rolling Stones put out a new album. So there.
Now the Rolling Stones album was outstanding. It
Mhm.
was an outstanding album.
Yes.
So if you are fans of the Stones, and I saw them in concert last May, it was a great show. All right. So now, so moving on now, I just kind of put together a quick top 20 of some of my favorite Christmas music.
Mhm.
Granted, not everything I love, but I just wanted to just bring out a few things that I love very much. Andy Williams is one of the one of the great vocalists of Christmas time. Elvis's Blue Christmas. The Partridge Family we talked about, Jolly Love, and that whole the Ronettes and all those guys from the Phil Spector album. We'll get into that a little bit more further, but I love that album. Manilow has put out multiple Christmas albums and has a couple of classics like Because It's Christmas, which is beautiful. I love the Mannheim Stringholders
Right.
and Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I just think I just play that all the time this time of year.
Yes,
I love that music.
The Beach Boys Christmas album,
Beach Boys
Exactly,
Christmas
yeah.
record. Oh,
which
that's
is
great.
which is really wonderful.
Yeah.
I love their version of the Lord's Prayer on this. It's gorgeous.
Yes.
Mhm.
It is interesting that a lot of the Christmas music that we grew up with, what came to us originally through television.
Right.
It's like that was that was our original record player. That was and how many songs that we first hear through Christmas specials we're still singing more than just Charlie Brown. You mentioned Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and
Right.
Frosty the Snowman. There's still a whole
He
bunch
Without
of
a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
But you had all those great TV specials from Andy Williams and Perry Como or Bing Crosby or Bob Hope and God knows who else and Dean Martin. They had all these people that we were introduced to them. We knew they were mom and dad's old music, but a lot of hearing them in their TV shows, it gave them something that I could relate to.
Right.
So Springsteen, with all the great records he's ever made, I think Santa Claus is Coming to Town. He's got to be one of the best things he's ever done.
Right.
Paul and John both had great Christmas records. Wonderful Christmas Time from McCartney and Happy Christmas from John and Yoko.
And don't forget Ringo.
And Ringo's Christmas album is fantastic.
Oh, it's such a fun album.
It's a fun album to listen to and really, really good. Donny
George-
Osmond has put out a great Christmas album. My Christmas, called Christmas at Home, featuring all kinds of, it was done like 20 years ago now, so now it's getting to be a little bit older, but still a wonderful listen. More mature Donny Osmond.
right.
Uh,
And
I
George
love the
Harrison,
I-
yeah.
well,
George Harrison,
George's record was Ding Dong. It was a little bit silly, right?
it wasn't really a Christmas song. It was a New Year's song. So no
The New
one likes.
Year's song, right?
And speaking, mentioning the Beatles again, I got, whoops, excuse me. Okay, the Beatles Christmas album of all the Christmas single. This was the thing. This is the one they sent to the fan club after
Right.
the fan club ended.
And you know
And
what's interesting about that also is that how much effort they put into those records.
I want to,
I mean, essentially, it was just, "Hi, I'm John. I'm George. Hi, I'm Paul." Whatever, and they would do a little bit, but they eventually developed like little plays that is just incredible to listen to. I think I have that on bootleg somewhere.
this is the official release of the singles.
Yeah,
All the singles, the Christmas records in colored vinyl. And this was
Yeah.
officially released some years ago in 2017.
and Christmas Time Is Here Again is a good song.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, it's a good little song. I love Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You."
Yeah.
Christmas isn't Christmas without the Carpenters.
Right.
And Bing Crosby with David Bowie singing "Peace on Earth," "The Little Drummer Boy,"
Uh-huh.
and Michael Bublé is a more recent favorite.
Now, I've been listening to the Christmas albums put out by Cliff Richard, and they're really wonderful.
Really?
Yeah, you got to check those out. They got some great songs in it, like Savior's Day, Mistletoe and Wine,
Yeah.
The Millennial Prayer. Those are great Christmas songs, and
Yeah.
of course he does some of the traditional ones too.
Yeah.
But you've got to check out the Christmas songs by Cliff Richard. You really enjoy
I
it.
will do that. I will do that.
Oh, look who just came! Oh, 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 oh.
Oh,
And
still recite way too much of that. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yes.
oh, you think
Ever
we're
heard
cute?
of Charlie and the Bob?
You think I'm cute?
I'm cute.
And don't forget Bumble's Bounce.
That's right, Bumbles
Yeah.
Bounce.
Oh God. And I want to be a dentist, right? God Almighty.
Which
Great stuff.
supposedly the legend is that was based on El Jardine because he'd supposedly left the Beach Boys to go.
That's
be a
right.
dentist. Yeah. So I still think about that it's like, oh, there's El Jardine's touch of Christmas, a Christmas history right there.
There you go.
Well, even with the blonde hair and the
Yep.
flip
Yep.
or whatever the hell it is that he's got there, makes me actually think of John Al Jardine now that you mentioned it. Okay, Daniel, can you still stick around, or do you want to keep going?
Actually, you go ahead, Fred.
Can I show something very special? If I can get it out of the bag. Just a minute. Okay, that way. I want to show something very special to you guys. I don't think I've shown this to you before, or maybe I did once. But these Christmas lights, they came from the Christmas tree of Davy Jones.
Oh wow!
I got these a couple of years ago at one of the Monkeys conventions. They're
wow.
for real. They're real. They came from Davy's Christmas tree. So obviously this is something.
Oh, what are you doing? Are you going out there and you ripping these things off?
No. One of the
Stalking.
one of the people who was a friend of Davy's, she was selling stuff for the Davy Jones Foundation.
Yeah.
One of the things they were selling were the Christmas ornament.
Oh, that's very cool.
These are very nice, and these are again from Davy Jones' own Christmas tree.
Wow, that's cool.
Well, I do want to head off here in a second to get to
Okay.
work. I did want to let everybody know that some of the record productions I've been working on the last year are coming to fruition, including a really cool one that's being announced next month. It'll be out on Omnivore Recordings in February. I can tell you more shortly. The Circle album, Revival, first album in 57 years, is out now. Please, it's always,
Yes.
it will make a great Christmas present or whenever you purchase it. And there's
Yes.
more to come with The Circle. And there's another really cool project I can tell you guys about really soon in the coming year. Please, let's do this again soon. I've missed you
Yes.
guys. I've missed
I miss you
everybody
too,
out there
Daniel.
listening to this. And happy Christmas and happy New Year.
Happy Christmas
Christmas,
to you,
Daniel.
Daniel. Take care, all right?
You too, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good night. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, we're gonna stay on for a little bit, Fred, and we're gonna just talk a little bit about Phil Spector and Phil Spector's Christmas album. And you know, I love this Christmas album. Phil Spector aside, you
Yeah.
know, is but he did with having produced the Ronettes and Darlene Love and the Crystals and Bobby Sox and the Blue Jeans and so forth. Those songs are just so iconic. Those arrangements, you know, I've loved them my whole life. And you know, as much as I love the traditional Christmas music, you know, because that's me. I grew up Catholic, so you know, sang in the choir, so all the Latin stuff, all the traditional music it's in my soul, you know.
Right.
And but when I think about Christmas time, I always think about the Christmas, the Phil Spector album first because it just brings me so much joy. Makes me think of my family, my sister, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I was wondering if there's a particular song from that album that you particularly like.
Oh, there were so many good ones on that album. It's hard to pick just one. But Darlene's Love,
Yeah, with Darlene Love, she did Christmas Baby, Please Come Home,
that's the one.
which
That's
is
the one.
absolute gorgeous song.
Right. I love that song. And I like
Yeah,
the ones around that do like Frosty's Snowman and
yeah.
Marshmallow World. Very
Marshmallow
nice.
World, that's great. And you know, Dean Martin made a great version of that too.
With Frank Sinatra.
With Sinatra, right. And so it's like I always thought of Marshmallow World as Darlene Love's song. And then
Right.
all of a sudden one year I'm playing the Dean Martin version. It's like, oh, that came on the radio. Do you remember CBS FM in
Yes.
New York? So CBS FM in New York, they came out with a series of Christmas
Yeah.
CDs,
I have a couple of
which
those.
oh man, I had like 4 of them.
Right.
And it was I wish I could find them.
Hmm.
But
But they were great.
and so you had all kinds of people like Johnny Maestro, what was it, the jingle that wouldn't jingle or whatever, the
Right.
Christmas ornament that wouldn't jingle or whatever,
That was Henry
things like that.
Mancini, I believe.
Yeah, but there were just a lot of great songs that come down the pipe through the years that
Mhm.
are part of Christmas. It's part of our Christmas of the past, and it's part of our Christmas future because they always bring memories of the past with us, and that's just part of life as we get older. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, it's
so
nice that Darlene Love for the Home Alone 2 soundtrack she did, Who Wants to Be Alone on Christmas?
yes, another good one.
Nobody Wants to Be Alone on Christmas. That's the one.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
good. That was
beautiful song.
produced by Little Steven with
Yeah,
the band backing her.
yeah, and that's become a classic too.
Right.
And you know, again, Karen Carpenter, you know, whom I
Oh,
love.
she was amazing.
And so you know, just hearing the Christmas Portrait album or the Christmas collection that they had, there's a symphonic version of some
Right.
of the Christmas songs that they
Hmm.
put out some years ago. I love all that stuff. You know,
Me too.
I just love it all, and I want to thank my audience for listening to us, and I would wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday, whatever holiday it might be. Just enjoy that celebration with your family, your friends, and memories of the past, and hopefully wonderful things in the future for 2025. My guest has been Daniel Coston and Fred Velez. And Fred, do you have anything you want to tell us about that you're going to be doing coming up?
Um, right now I'm trying to work on a project. I won't say what it is, but I'm trying to work on that. Been a little stuck, but just keep me in your thoughts that and prayers that I can get this thing going.
Well, we like a little mystery. That's cool, and we
Mhm.
always wish you all the best, Fred. Yeah,
Thank you.
one of my friends all these years. I'm so glad we get a chance to still chat.
My pleasure.
And so I want to thank everybody here joining us here at Ed's Pop-O-Matic Podcast, a retro pop culture podcast. And you can find us on Facebook and on YouTube. Go to YouTube. I got my YouTube page, Ed
Mhm.
Rising, and look me up there. And you'll find this and other videos that we've done and things we're going to do in the future for next year. So thank you
Um,
very much, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho!
Ooh.